Welcome, everyone, to Hoops Zooted. I am your host, Evan Moore, and it's great to see everybody tonight. And today, I've got my bubbler again today. And, last time I had my bubbler, I didn't really explain what a bubbler is. And a bubbler is similar to a pipe, except there's a little chamber to hold a little bit of water in it. So it's kind of like a mini bong. So when you draw on it, there's a little bubbling sound. That's why it's called a bubbler. So anyway, and I'm smoking today a little bit of sour diesel mixed with Kush mints. And so anyway, how you doing today, Colin?
Hey, how we doing, Evan?
Doing good, man. Good to see you.
You as well. Yeah, always love smoking out of a nice bubbler. Very important to keep them clean, which I know you do that. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm using. I've got a vape today. Oh, it's a little tough with that background there, but yeah, it's just a distillate vape of some blueberry cookies, which is an indica strain. So yeah, just taking it nice and easy, a little bit more chill than my the dabs that I've took for episode 0. So yeah, happy to be back.
Awesome, man. So glad to have you, man. So anyway, we're about just less than 2 weeks out from the start of the season. These preseason we're getting here real soon. So I'm getting pretty dang excited. I'm sure you're getting pretty excited. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on who you think is going to be in the starting lineup. Now, all summer, I was really thinking that Rui was going to probably get the start just because of his new contract. But the more I think about it, with Vando re-signing himself to a nice new contract, I feel like, Ham is going to prioritize defense, and I think Vando is going to get the start. So my starting five that I have that I think that Ham is going to start the season with, at least, is AR, D'Lo, Vando, Braun, and AD. And then, that'd make the bench, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Torian Prince, Rui, and Christian Wood. And then with Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes kind of, as 11th, 12th man. And, I think that there's a chance that Cam Reddish can maybe, challenge, Max Christie and Torian Prince for some minutes. But I think to start the season, I think he's going to have to prove it to him. So I think he's going to be near the back of that rotation. So that's how I've got it shaping out to start the season. But I think, things may change as things go on and things develop. But I think that's how things are going to start out. What do you think this year?
I think it's funny that we didn't talk about this before the episode, because that's the exact starting lineup I have, which is funny because it's not, like Evan mentioned, it's not the mainstream. Kind of the mainstream lineup right now is to have D'Lo, AR, and then Rui at the 3, and then Braun and AD. But I actually totally agree with Evan. I think it's going to be. He actually had Austin Reeves at the 1, D'Lo at the 2. I don't know. Maybe you didn't mean to. Maybe you just were just naming them. I think to start, D'Lo will probably be at the 1, and AR will be at the 2. I would ultimately like to see that switched, but I think to start the season, D'Lo will ultimately be the 1. So, yeah, my starting lineup is D'Lo at the 1, Austin Reeves at the 2, Vando at the 3, Braun at the 4, and AD at the 5. And yeah, I agree with Evan. Playing Vando at the 3 allows Braun to be able to play the 4, which we talked about last week. It's a lot going to, age 39-year-old Braun in season 29. It's going to be much easier for him to guard 4s than to guard 3s. So, and then also a follow-up on my comment about Vando's height last week. Him and Jackson Hayes were invited to throw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium this past week. Lakers posted about it. Dodgers posted about it. There's this viral picture going around of Vando and Jackson Hayes standing next to each other. And they look damn near the same height. And we know Jackson Hayes is 7 feet. So I truly do think Vando is 6'10" these days, which is just going to make him unstoppable on defense. And we know he's a hard worker. There was actually a really cool podcast that came out this past week. I think it's called Run Your Race, where they did like an hour and a half interview with Vando. I listened to the whole thing, listen to his story. It's just clear that he's a super hard worker. So not only is he still growing physically, but I think he's also, putting in the work. I think his offensive game is going to get better, which is kind of the one thing that everyone talks poorly about him. So yeah, I think it's going to be D'Lo, AR, Vando, Braun, and AD. And like I said last week, I think that combination can win you 60 games if everyone stays healthy. So I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, health is definitely the big thing. We got our fingers crossed for some good health this year. We need some good luck. We've had so many years of some bad luck with health. We're due this year. And so I guess we do differ a little bit on our starting lineup. I do really think that AR is going to be the one, because I think the way he played in FIBA this year, and I have a feeling that to start the season, especially in preseason, I think that Ham is going to try him out at the one. So I guess we have one little variance in what we're looking at there for that starting lineup. So as a side note, I'd also like, I'd like your opinion on whether or not you think preseason is important, because I think it's kind of like it's a mix of both. It's important, but it's also not important in some ways. So like it's not important in the fact that, none of those games count, the obvious, but it is important in like what you see as far as team chemistry and development. And, you want to at least win a couple of those games. You don't want to lose all the preseason games, so, because I think just from a confidence standpoint for the team, so I think there's kind of a mixed bag of, preseason is not unimportant, but it's not, it's a mix, so what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I've actually got a pretty funny story. So last season, I was lucky enough. Someone at work offered me 2 tickets to the very first preseason game last season, which we played the Kings. And I brought my buddy, who's not a basketball fan at all, actually not even a sports fan. And you guys can Google this. Very first preseason game last year for the Lakers, we got absolutely slaughtered by the Kings. I think they 30-pieced us. All of our starters played. All of our guys played. LeBron played. LeBron actually had 0 points. Everyone was, all the LeBron haters were out after that game saying, oh, he might be washed. And then I think the very next preseason game, he went 9 for 10 or something. But yeah, it was so bad to the point where my buddy, who I brought with me, who doesn't really know basketball, isn't a big sports fan, he was like, dude, these guys look horrible. What is this? This because I was obviously raving about how good I thought the Lakers were going to be. And this was also before we knew the Kings were good. So I assumed we were going to kill the Kings in preseason last year. And my buddy was like, dude, this is complete trash. LeBron looks washed. This team looks horrible. And you could just tell last year the chemistry was off. It was just really, really sloppy. And we saw that continue throughout the rest of preseason, and obviously through the beginning of last season with the 2-10 start. So I completely agree with Evan. Obviously, does the end result matter? No, but I do think it's a time where, especially with a new roster like we've got this year. Well, it's not super new. We've got a lot of returning players, but a lot of those guys are still technically new since we got them in February of last year. And then we've got some new guys like Gabe Vincent and Jackson Hayes and Taurean Prince. So I think it's a really important time for those guys to gel, and build chemistry. But does the end result matter? No, not at all. I just, obviously hope everyone stays healthy, and hope we kind of. I also think it's important that we don't want to show all of our cards, which I think Darvin will not do, or will do. Is he's going to play very basic sets. We're not going to see anything too crazy. So as long as everyone stays healthy and the chemistry looks good, that's really all I'm looking for. But would be nice to win some preseason games and cruise on into the regular season.
Absolutely. So anyway, I just want to remind everybody, we got to, PSAs scrolling along the bottom of the screen here, everybody make sure to clean your pipes and don't pass the bong with stale smoke still in the chamber. Just know your stoner etiquette, so anyway.
Shout out to all the college dorm rooms out there with bongs that are just absolutely gross with tar and res everywhere. So yeah, definitely don't be those guys. Keep your pipes clean.
Exactly. Yes. You'll appreciate yourself, and it tastes so much better through a clean pipe. So anyway, I want to go on to the Dame saga, just the never-ending Dame saga. Is he ever going to get traded? This is getting so ridiculous at this point to me. Today I heard that Boston was even in the mix, and I'm looking at their roster and trying to match up salaries, and I'm just how? Wait, hold, but nobody had any further elaboration that I heard. Maybe somebody's tried to cook up some funny trades for that, but that seems to make no sense to me. And then I've also heard Phoenix with Ayton going up there, and also Nurkic coming down with Dame, and I'm again, how, what are they giving up for all that? And it's really interesting. And then the whole thing that still comes down is the dark cloud hanging over all of this is there's all these claims that he's supposedly going to veto any trade that comes around anyway. So I'm what is all this? Just can someone get it together? Because it's unless this is just Miami's way of trying to get them to negotiate through the press now or something like that. Maybe that's the only. But it's gotten out of control, and what a saga. This needs to come to an end, and it needs to come to an end soon, please. So totally. What do you think?
Yeah, it's absurd. I mean, it's going to be it's as of today's recording, it's Monday, September 25th. Pretty soon it's going to be October. We were joking on last week's episode that we had to wait until September for Christian Wood to sign with the Lakers. Well, it's now September 25th, and we still don't know where Dame's going. One thing that I do think is really interesting, I think Miami completely shot themselves in the foot by not getting a deal done by now, because all offseason we heard both Christian Wood and Kelly Oubre. So also to take a step back, this past week, Kelly Oubre signed with the Philadelphia 76ers on a vet min, which I think is a great signing for them. But all offseason we were hearing that Christian Wood and Kelly Oubre would sign with the Heat if the Heat got Dame. So which would have been if the Heat could have pulled that off. I was thinking, wow, that's, that could be a championship team right there. But they waited so long. They still haven't gotten the deal done with Dame that, Christian Wood and Kelly Oubre both said, fuck it. Fortunately, the Lakers got Christian Wood, which is awesome. Sixers got Kelly Oubre. So, I think that hurts the Heat. And the toughest part about Dame is he's making, correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, I think it's $45 million next year, maybe more.
Yeah,
maybe even 50. And obviously with trades in the NBA, you have to match up the salaries. So if anyone wants to bring in Dame, bring in that $45 million, they've got to send out $45 million or, something close to that. So,
exactly.
all the none of it makes sense. If he goes to the Suns, that would be wild, especially with Frank Vogel as their coach, who is defensive minded, and he would be starting basically have to start three guards at that point with Dame, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. So, and for the Celtics to bring him in at this point, it feels like they already made their big move with Kristaps Porzingis. So, I don't know. The only thing that makes sense is Miami, and like I said, Miami's already shot themselves in the foot by losing out on kind of the top vet minimum guys that probably would have signed with them had they executed a trade with Dame by now. So, I hope it ends. And the other thing is we don't really know where James Harden's going either. So,
yeah,
we'll see with both of those guys. But likely I think they both might be just going back to the teams that they were on last year, which for James Harden would be the 76ers and for Dame would be the Blazers. But like Evan said, definitely ready for it to be over. And I know the Lakers aren't getting them, so that's really all that matters for us.
Yeah. And I think the James Harden thing is also interesting because I don't think that there's like a big market for him, and like he really wanted to go to the Clippers, but there's not a deal that's going to bring him to the Clippers.
Right.
So yeah, like I think he's gonna be stuck in Philly.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Dame stays stuck in Portland either. Come the start of the season, and like he doesn't get traded till the trade deadline.
Yep.
So anyway, and then on to the next topic, which we're back to this again. Buddy Hield is now wanting a trade.
And so, what are we doing?
Like of course all these Laker fans like, oh no, bring him here now. Like, no, it's too late. Sorry, buddy. Like you missed your window. Like, we've got this team assembled, sorry. Like we cannot be doing this, but like, of course people are just gonna, beat a dead horse with this until the trade deadline. Like, and just, it's been just driving me nuts on the timeline that like people just think that, our roster needs an upgrade. Because like, I feel like our roster as it is a championship roster, as long as we stay healthy, like you said, 60 games, like, I feel very confident in that as long as we stay healthy. If LeBron and AD plus, like, I feel with the incentive of the 65 games, to get awards this year, I think LeBron and AD may feel the incentive to play those 65 games. And if they do, like, there's a very good chance we win 60 games, So, yeah, like, no Buddy Hield. Just say no to Buddy Hield. Just say no. That's what I have to say.
Totally agree. I think we said it last week. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think it's crazy that people already want to make tweaks to this roster when we haven't even seen them play a preseason game yet. And so I forget who tweeted it, but someone tweeted out, just how great it is to be in a position this year for Buddy Hield to be going on the market last minute and for us not to need to do anything because our roster's already set. That's just a great feeling. But one thing I do want to touch on is, like Evan mentioned, a lot of Lakers fans that are nitpicking and that do want to entertain the Buddy Hield idea. The common trade I keep hearing is D'Angelo Russell for Buddy Hield or some variation of that, which I just think is crazy. If you look at the numbers last year, they actually shot pretty close, pretty similar percentages from 3-point range. D'Lo is, I believe, 2 or 3 years younger than Buddy Hield. And D'Lo just signed a contract for $17 million a year for 2 years. Buddy Hield was making, I believe, $18 million last year, and he can't come to the whole reason he's on the trade market is because he can't come to an agreement with the Pacers, which likely means he wants to make more than $18 million. Yep. So he's more expensive, he's older, and I don't, D'Lo's more of a playmaker too. So I would take D'Lo, 10 times out of 10 over Buddy Hield this in the year 2023. So let's just, we're in a this is a good problem to not have to worry about this. So Lakers fans, let's just see how this team looks and not try and fire up the trade machine on, in October before the season starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and the other thing I feel like about the whole thing is that D'Lo and Reeves have had really great chemistry. Like, why do you want to break that up? Like, that's the other thing I can't understand from people. Like, they are combo guards that work well, where like they can both switch off where one plays point and then the other one plays the two, and like, it'll go back and forth, like, and they played well together, especially through that playoff run. So, like, yeah, like I think people are still so hung up on D'Lo because of those games in Denver. Poor guy, just like he helped us so much with Memphis and Golden State, but then just because he wasn't there to help us as much for Denver, everybody's just wanting to trade him immediately. So yeah, D'Lo's getting a bad rap, and like I said, like that chemistry between him and Reeves is something that I'd like to preserve personally. So no,
Yeah,
say no to Buddy Hield.
totally. And yeah, just to touch on that point with the chemistry, I love the term sweat equity. I think, and that's why I was huge on Vando too. Is a lot of these guys, they've built up sweat equity through playing with each other for, I don't know how many games after the trade deadline, including the playoffs. They've probably played, I don't know, 35 games together at this point. So that's a lot of sweat equity built up and chemistry built up. So to just throw that away for Buddy Hield, who's older, more expensive, and doesn't play defense, just makes no sense. So definitely on the same page of pass on that one. But yeah, that actually brings us to our next topic, which is our weekly historical stoner circle, aka Gas or Pass.
What a bong hit.
Yep, if you guys didn't know what that was. That was a bong hit. So yeah, Evan, let's go. I'm going to start with our first one here, which I love this one. Hunter S. Thompson, gas or pass?
Ooh, Hunter S. Thompson. Oh, this one's a tough one. Like, I love his work. Like, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, especially, is just, I think it's brilliant and funny and hilarious. But if this were 30 years ago, I'd be jumping at the chance. But yeah, at my age, I'm too old to be getting high with Hunter S. Thompson because it would escalate to places that I don't want to go at my age.
One thing leads to another.
Exactly. And so I'd have to pass with Hunter. Like, as much as I love him, like on this one, I have to pass.
Hey, that's fair. Well, I'm quite the opposite, actually. Evan, if you could cue the graphic here. But I would definitely gas with Hunter S. Thompson. Fear and Loathing is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I just know that Hunter S. Thompson was a huge sports fan. So this is a little bit cut off, but I'm going to read it for you guys here. This is actually a letter that Hunter S. Thompson wrote to the Colts owner Jim Irsay in March of 1998. So here it is. Dear James, in response to your addled request for a quick $30 million loan to secure the services of the Manning kid, I have to say no at this time. But the Leaf boy is another matter. He looks strong and Manning doesn't, or at least not strong enough to handle welcome to the NFL business for 2 years without a world-class offensive line. How are you fixed at offensive tackle for the next few years, James? Think about it. You don't want a China doll back there when that freak Sapp comes crashing in. Okay, let me know if you need some money for Leaf. I expect to be very rich when this debt movie comes out. Your faithful consultant, Hunter. So that's just hilarious on so many levels. So for those of you who don't know, obviously the Manning boy, he's talking about Peyton Manning, and the Leaf boy, that's Ryan Leaf, who is commonly known as the biggest bust of all time. I believe he was the first overall pick that year. The Chargers took him. He did absolutely nothing in his career. I do think he had a lot of injuries, but no one. I'm explaining to you who Ryan Leaf is right now because no one, because he didn't end up being anything. And just the way that he talks to Jim Irsay in this letter is hilarious. Just asking him how he's fixed at left tackle for the next few years. Is just so funny, and he was high on drugs when he wrote this. So yeah, long story short, I would definitely gas with Hunter S. Thompson, and would love to talk sports with him and hear some of his sports takes. But
He was a big sports fan. Yeah.
But on to our next gas or pass candidate here is Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings, the show Vikings, if anyone's seen that. So Evan, gas or pass with Ragnar?
Oh no, this one is definitely a gas. Like, absolutely. Like, I definitely want to get high with Ragnar and talk with him about all kinds of things. And yeah, and I also want to have him show me where the mushrooms are too, you know. So,
Definitely.
so yeah, like definitely a gas for Ragnar with me, man.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I'm a big TV guy, like I said last week, and I loved the show Vikings.
Yeah.
Actually, I stopped watch. Well, I won't ruin it, but yeah, just Ragnar is one of my favorite characters, and would definitely gas with him. I've actually one of my good friends in real life looks very similar to Ragnar, and has a very similar tattoo to him, and so yeah, I would definitely gas with him, and would love to hear some more stories from him, and yeah, so. All right, on to our third candidate. This is a great one, and this was actually suggested from one of our listeners on Twitter's one of our good friends who commented when we asked our listeners last week, who would you want in the historical stoner circle? So Evan, would you gas or pass with Bill Walton?
Definitely. Like, unfortunately, like, I probably wouldn't get a word in edgewise, like trying to talk, you know, but it would be fun to just sit there and listen to him because he's got some great stories, and like, yeah, it would just be fun to, get stoned with an old hippie like Bill. Like, so definitely a gas for me.
Yeah, totally agree. There was a great documentary that came out recently. I believe it was a three-part 30 for 30 on Bill Walton. I think it was called "The Luckiest Man in the World" or "The Luckiest Guy in the World." But yeah, basically goes from to his career from start to finish, and he's just such a cool guy. And like Evan alluded to, he had a severe speech impediment early on in life, and he ended up overcoming it. And all of his friends joke that as soon as he overcame the speech impediment, he never stopped talking after that. So. Definitely, I probably wouldn't get a word in, but would love to gas with him, and would love to hear him talk about both his days at UCLA and his days in the NBA. So one of the winningest players of all time. So yeah, would love that. Um, but yeah, moving on to our next topic. We've had we talked about Ricky Williams in the news last week. So this past week we had Jim McMahon, the famous Bears QB from the 1984 Bears with that famous Bears defense. He was the guy with the sunglasses and the headband. He announced he was launching his own cannabis brand, which is called Revenant, and he's launching it with Kyle Turley, who was a pretty famous offensive tackle in the NFL. I know him because he played for the St. Louis Rams when I was growing up in St. Louis. But Evan, what are your thoughts about Jim McMahon launching his own cannabis brand?
Oh, I love this. You know, the athletes and the exposure that they can give to these kinds of things. And, the other thing is that, Jim is also doing this for a lot of the right reasons. Like, he's talked about how he used to do like 100 perks per month. I mean, that's three a day at least,
Insane.
that's insane. Like, yeah, just, and, like we've been talking about, here, like, plants over pills. So, like, I just love the fact that he's, doing it for the right reasons of things like that, because, it's been shown in every state where it's legalized that, opioid overdoses have gone down. So, like, and it just having that alternative for so many people, makes a huge difference. There are so many people all over our country that are abusing opioids right now. And, if we can find a way to, help get them off of opioids, marijuana does work for a lot of them. So, I love that. And I love the fact that he's, tied in with the NFL with it, wanting to, do the same thing that Ricky Williams does about, like, making them, have it available as well. Like, just, yeah. So just kudos to Jim. I just love it. Like, and, I'm curious to see like what kind of like silly strains the Punky QB names,
Oh yeah, he's got to do some sort of play on the fridge. who was obviously their famous defensive tackle that would run it in at the goal line. But
or just a
yeah,
chunky QB, maybe,
yeah, there you go, there you go. The Mike Ditka strain, something like that. But yeah, I totally agree with Evan's take. I think it's in the same vein of what Ricky Williams is trying to do with his brand and kind of trying to be the leading pioneers of the NFL. So wanted to bring up some other athletes actually that have their own cannabis brands. It's a pretty interesting cast of athletes. And so I'm just gonna list them off real quick here. So probably the most famous one is Al Harrington. He's got a brand called Viola here in Southern California. They've been around for many years now. The other one that's very famous is Mike Tyson. He's got one called, it used to be called Tyson's Ranch. I believe he just rebranded it to Tyson 2.0. But some really interesting ones that I thought were Marshawn Lynch. He's got Dodie Blunts, and then Calvin Johnson. He's got a brand called Primitive. But I thought those two were really interesting because they both retired much younger than most football players do. I know they both, specifically Calvin Johnson. I mean, he was basically still at the height of his powers when he retired. I think he was 30 years old, 31 years old. And Marshawn was a little bit older, but still not very old, maybe 33. So, I think they were kind of early on, or early in the decision to retire early and kind of save their body. And so for them to be coming out with cannabis brands, I think is super cool now. And then the last one, which I thought is awesome, is Megan Rapinoe from the women's U.S. soccer team. She's got a brand called, I believe it's a CBD brand. I don't think it's THC cannabis, but she's got a CBD brand called Mendy. So definitely we'll put those in the description of the YouTube and Spotify and all that stuff. So you guys should check them out on Instagram and check out their websites. But really cool to finally see some athletes, leading the charge here with legal cannabis brands.
Yeah, it's so great. I'm loving all that. And Marshawn Lynch especially,
Totally.
Someday, Marshawn, if you're out there listening, come, you're welcome on our show sometime. We'd love to have
you.
Totally.
I'll give you my address. You can send me free samples of everything. I can be a guinea pig. That's no problem.
Actually, for any of these guys, we'd love to have any of these cannabis related, athletes. We'd love to have any of you on the show.
For sure.
We just, it's so important that, like I said, it's part of a multifaceted view on health, and it may not be for some people, but it does work for a lot of people, and just having it available and having people having access to it is just really important. And I hope we can get to federal legalization sometime soon, because we've got kind of mixed legalization in this country as it is right now, and it'd just be nice if everybody all across the board could eventually have it. So so anyway, on to the next topic. We're gonna go back a little bit to talk about a little bit of football. So we've got we're recording this on a Monday night, after week 3 here. Monday night football games are going on right now as we're recording this. So as of this right now, both of our teams are 2-1, and my Ravens had a tough loss on Sunday, and Colin's Packers had a miraculous comeback win on Sunday that down 17-0 and came back and won that game. Unreal. But so anyway, the Ravens at least in week 2 also got a win over the Bengals, with the depleted lineup, I have to say too. They're doing this with a lot of injuries. So, that was a tough loss yesterday, but they're really, really banged up, and, lost possibly another receiver again on Sunday, and Rashad Bateman as well. So,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I haven't heard the injury report, but he went down late in that game, and had his helmet off and was out, and so it looked like he might be out for a little while. We'll wait and see what comes out tomorrow. But But yeah, we're at 2-1 and still looking pretty good. I still feel pretty confident. Lamar looked really, really good on Sunday, despite the loss. But just like I feel like things with that offense just aren't quite clicking. There's some new faces that haven't quite clicked, and the fact that that offensive line is still not completely healthy is probably the biggest detriment in keeping that offense from being where it really needs to be. You got to protect your quarterback. Even a running mobile quarterback like Lamar, you still got to protect him. so but we're I'm pretty happy with where the Ravens are. How are you feeling about your Packers?
Oh man, I'm over the moon. As you can see, got a new background today. So yeah, I was actually traveling yesterday. I was coming back from Montreal. So Montreal to California is quite a long flight. It was a 5-hour flight. So I missed the Packers game. I share an NFL Plus account with my buddy, so they've got a really cool feature where you can watch after the games are over. You can watch the replay of the game, but do they have like a condensed version basically where they skip all the commercials and they cut each play as soon as the snap's over, and you can watch an entire football game in 40 minutes. It's really cool without missing a single play. So I watched the whole game when I got home. And I was very conscious to like put all my notifications on silent. I had no idea what the score was. So I actually almost turned it off when it was, like Evan said, 17-0 in the fourth quarter. But obviously kept watching, and for them to come back 18 points in the fourth quarter for their first game at Lambeau Field was just incredible, and to do it without three of their best players. Christian Watson was out again. He was a late scratch, which was unfortunate. I actually left him starting in one of my fantasy teams because, like I said, I was on a flight, so that was unfortunate. But we were out with him, Aaron Jones, and then our all pro left tackle David Bakhtiari. So to pull off that comeback without those three, and for our young quarterback Jordan Love to stay poised and to really never look rattled at any point in that game, and to be able to execute a comeback like that is huge. And now this leads us into this Thursday. We play the Lions for Thursday Night Football, which is going to be an awesome game. We're both 2-1. We're tied for first place in the NFC North. So we're both a little bit injured. So we'll see what happens. It's a home game for the Packers, so I'm really hoping that we can win. I'm not sure what the line is, but really, really exciting stuff from the Packers to see them bounce back from that tough loss against the Falcons. We really, we're 2 points away from being 3-0. So excited for this Thursday night game, and it's happy that both of our teams are 2-1 and on the up.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's been fun to have football back, because the summer is kind of a slow period in sports. Like we have a really good NBA off season come summer league and like with free agency, but then it really kind of, you get into the doldrums there, and like it's just nice to have some football back, and 2 weeks away we've got basketball. 2 weeks away, so
excited.
Yeah. So anyway, on to our final topic here, and this one really bothers me. Like, HBO has canceled Winning Time, and this has bothered me on so many levels. Just because they kind of peddled this, at the beginning of, when the season was launched, as like, oh, we need to get some viewers and like, make sure we can get a season 3. And when I watched that finale, and you see, how they wrapped it up with that, like, quick little montage, it was obvious to me that they had no intention of, going for another season. That's why they only did 7 episodes, and it's just, yeah. And such a slap in the face to Lakers fans to end this, in 1984 with the Celtics winning it. And in that, finale, they made Red Auerbach and Larry Bird, the goddamn stars. I felt like so like it was just it was such a slap in the face because I loved that show up until that finale, and like and it was like, you know, to be fair, a surprise finale because like we were all expecting, you know, to get at least, you know, some, you know, hope of a continuation, but you know they just always they just wanted to close it up, just, you know, end it all. And like so like fuck HBO. I'm pissed. Like I'm ready to cancel my subscription. You know, I've actually, you know, I've got the free trial of Paramount right now, and I think I'm gonna, you know, go with Paramount and dump HBO right now. Like, cause, you know, like there's really not that much more that I'm really into on HBO at the moment right now anyway. And like the, you know, the new Game of Thrones, I just haven't. I've tried to get into it. I can't get into it. So just yeah, to hell with HBO. I'm really mad what they did with Winning Time, and just really frustrated also for the crew, for the crews that work so hard on these films and movies and TVs. I mean, a lot of people don't realize these people are working 12, 18, even 18-hour days a lot of times, and even 6 days a week on a lot of these projects. Now, you know, they do get time off in between projects, but those, I mean, you're working hard for like 3-4 month stretches. And like, and if you're working in TV, you're working, you know, year round, in fact, and like you're working a schedule like that. And they put so much hard work into these things, and recreating the 1980s and late 70s like they did. Um, they did just an amazing job. That the wardrobe, as well as the sets, they were just incredible, and the props just, you know, I want everybody to like understand the hard work that goes into all these shows that we love and care about. And you know, this show got canceled, and all these people, you know, they'll eventually find another job, obviously, but like, you know, they're putting so much of their heart and effort into these shows, and I don't think they get appreciated enough because so many people talk about the directors and the actors, and you know, that's what we focus on so much. And you know, I've worked in the industry. My sister still does work in the industry, so you know, that's probably a reason it's also, you know, really close to my heart. But like, I just, you know, when a movie ends and you see that like just long list of credits, I just want people to just take a moment and think about how hard a lot of people work to give you that, you know, 2.5 hours of entertainment. You know, you should appreciate it. That I just want to say that.
100%. And in that same vein, I think a person who deserves an extra special shout out is Jeff Pearlman, who we mentioned last
Yes.
week. That was the writer who wrote the book Showtime that the show's based on. He has been relentlessly going on every single podcast, relentlessly tweeting to try and get season 3 to happen. I swear this guy's probably went on 20 plus podcasts in the past 2 months to try and just keep the momentum going, so to get people to more viewers to watch season 2 so that there could be a season 3. And so to not even tell him beforehand that they were going to do that, and to have him find out like the rest of us, is just a complete slap in the face, and total bullshit. And yeah, from my perspective, I didn't see it coming at all. You know, I was obviously pretty stoned when I watched it. I was pissed because it, you know, ended with the Celtics winning. I think you can actually check my Twitter. I tweeted, you know, I tweeted, this is lame that they ended with the Celtics winning, but, you know, hopefully everyone watches it so we can at least get to the good stuff with season 3. And then about 5 minutes later, I find out that they're not, you know, I see the headline that that Winning Time will not be renewed for season 3. And I like quote tweeted my synopsis of, you know, the season, and basically just said what Evan said, which is just, you know, fuck this. HBO canceled it, you know, with no warning. And the most fucked up part is, either within 24 hours of canceling Winning Time, HBO announced a deal with the NBA that they're going to be showing 65 NBA games next season on HBO Max. So it's almost like they suckered in the NBA fans with Winning Time to get them on the
Yep.
platform, and they pulled a bait and switch and canceled Winning Time, and now they're going to show the TNT games, which we all already get anyways. So yeah, like Evan said, I'll probably be canceling my account too. I've already seen the Game of Thrones prequel. It was great, but don't have anything else coming out on HBO that I need to see. So yeah, just really frustrating. And like Evan said, just all the work that goes into it. And to not even give it 10 episodes, which was like you could tell was the standard. That's what they gave the first season, and to just do that lame ass montage at the very end to be like, oh, the Lakers went on to win, 5 championships in the 80s and play the Celtics however 4 more times or whatever. Was just such a cop out and so lame. And Evan's right; they did make it seem like Red Auerbach and Larry Bird were the protagonist and were kind of the ones getting with the last say. So just a horrible job by HBO, and it was such a good show. And yeah, it's so disappointing that it ended that way.
Yeah, and like I also want to like touch on that a little bit too. Like, you know, oh wait, now here we have a stoner moment. Now I just lost my train of thought there.
All good.
No,
Was it
the
65 live games that they're showing?
No, it was. Thank you. It was it like came right back to me. Thank you. It was the Red Auerbach when he started having the little speech about and then we're gonna have another one and another one and another one, like, and to end it with that, and like like it's such an insult too, because it's like, hey, you really only had one other one, damn it, like come on. Like,
yeah, so frustrating.
You didn't have another one, like just like kind of perpetuating a myth that's just like it feels like whoever produced that was a Celtics fan, and like so just like it really bothered me in that sense. So but like I did get like a little bit of hope on Twitter though. I saw O'Shea post something about like how much does it cost to buy the rights to Winning Time, and then Jeff Pearlman quote tweeted him about like have your people talk to my people, and like I love that idea of them buying the rights and then Showtime somehow getting involved, and then you can no longer call it Winning Time, you can actually call it Showtime, and then we can like actually call Winning Time what it really is. It was just a prequel to Showtime. Like it ended when Showtime was just about to begin. Like Showtime is Riley and Magic and Worthy and everybody, like, so that like please, Showtime, if you're listening out there, like please get involved somehow so we can call it Showtime. That would make Laker fans so happy, and continue this for season 3, and we can spit on HBO, because that's the other thing I got with the Paramount Plus was a Showtime. Paramount Plus comes with Showtime, so Showtime, if you're listening, I'm giving you money.
That's right. Let's do this thing. But no, in all seriousness, and just to piggyback off what you were saying of kind of how they ended it right at the climax, and the worst part about all of that is Pat Riley, man. Adrian Brody was doing such a good job, like we talked about it last week, of transforming into just that savage Pat Riley that we all know and love, and I was so excited to see him, just be that character for a full season, and we saw it for half an episode. So yeah, total bullshit. But yeah, I guess that's just how these things go. But
yeah, that's the way it goes, man. Well, anyway, just to emphasize, fuck HBO.
Yes, fuck HBO. And O'Shea Jackson, if you're listening, please buy the rights to Winning Time so we can hold that time.
Yes. Yeah, and also like I quote tweeted O'Shea too of like if you start a GoFundMe, I'll definitely chip in. So
hey, I will too.
Come on, please make this happen. So anyway, we're going to sign off for now, and it's been great. Wonderful again talking hoops with you, Colin, and peace and love to everybody out there, and stay zooted. I love y'all.
Stay zooted indeed. See you guys next time.